Good evening and salutations, YGH fans. Well, this was an episode. It wasn't exactly the best episode, but it was an episode, I guess. I get to the most juiciest and controversial part, and then I'll trickle down because I felt like that's literally what the episode was trying to do, right? And of course, this is Camp A, Camp B. In Camp A, you have Jason, Diane, and Carly. In Camp B, you have Nina, Willow, Drew, and eventually Rick. Right? Here's the issue that I'm starting to have. Right? First, well, I'm actually having a couple of issues, but first of all, let's talk about Camp A. I don't remember what's for Camp A, but it's the whole Carly part. See, Carly and Jason are talking about Danny or whatever. Diane comes over and Diane's like, "We got a problem. And it's a problem that you made." See, I said a while ago, right? When it comes to this Michael thing, everybody's trying to jump in, everyone's trying to help or whatever. And it's just like, this is why, part of the reason why I wasn't really a huge fan of Michael. It's like everyone is trying to, it's like sometimes you have to learn how to fight your own battles, right? And in Carly's case, it turns out that Carly has made things worse. I've been saying this from jump. Let Before the whole firebombing thing, let Michael and Willow handle their ish. Carly, mind a business that pays you. Okay? Carly has a problem. Carly has always had a problem with staying in her own goddamn lane. And it has just irritated me throughout the years. But it turns out because what Carly wants to do, Carly wants to sit there and set a court date without telling Michael. Because, she's like, Michael needs to heal and everything. Well, I'm going to set this court date. Well, she assumed, because family court usually takes forever, it didn't happen. And Diane's like, well, is Michael going to be ready in 2 weeks? Because that's when the court date starts. She's like, oh, shit. And this Jason pretty much is kind of like, I told you so. Carter's like, I don't need that. I told you so right now. Yes, the hell you do. Yes, you do. Because now you done sat there and made it worse for Michael to even attempt to get back his kids, which, honestly, to tell you the truth, 50-50 is the best way to go about it. But if you wanted to, you didn't help the situation. So now she's like, well, we could postpone, postpone or whatever the case. But that'd be bad because it'll look like Michael can't take care of his own kids. If you do that, you're practically giving Willow and Drew ammunition. And here's another issue that I'm just having in general. See, everyone has sat there and said from jump, there's just times where Carly's in situations and stories that she shouldn't be in. Right? And towards the end, they want to use Drew's F-ups as a way to say, well, this is an endangered man, towards the kids, and, emergency custody needs to take place. Or it's like, I'll do it myself. I'll sit there and fight for Michael. And I'm just like, I get it. Chad Duell left because he had things he needed to do. And the writers was like, or Frank, or whoever was like, listen, we'll wait. That was my issue. Waiting was only going to... They should have found the Michael at this point. They should have already started looking for Michael. Because there was no guarantees that he was going to come back. So they should have already started the groundwork for that. And instead, we had another story where Carly is kind of front burner as opposed to Michael, who should be there. But of course, it's another scenario where you're getting too much Carly. I'm not saying Carly is not part of the story. I don't think she should be that much a part of the story. But she's taking up more screen time than she should because either they were just lazy Or they just be relying on Carly, Laura Wright, whoever for way too goddamn long. And this is the result of that. So, like, I'm now, of course, when, well, after Willow gets served, she's in panic mode. She's like, oh, well, Michael's going to sit there and try to take my kids and everything, take my kids and stuff like that. And Drew comes over and he brings Rick aboard, which Rick is like, he has no problem to destroy Michael, hurt Sonny in the process, and have a high profile case with a congressman involved. And Drew is like, we're going to use the fact that Michael has been an absentee dad, didn't communicate with his kids, only sat there and talked to, um, the family and the sister and the mother and everyone else except for Willow and the kids. So we're going to use that as a way to get custody. So both of them, both teams, both sides, both camps are planning on using these really dirty tactics. And it's a shame because at the end of the day, regardless of who you like or who you dislike, it's the kids that are suffering from this. No matter who wins, the kids kind of lose. Like they either lose their dad or lose their mom. And I know people are just like, I don't like Willow, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, a mother is just as important as a father in a child's life. And I think if some people weren't so blinded by emotions of who they like or who they dislike, they would sit there and clearly see, you know what? I may not like Willow for her actions and stuff, but the kids need their mother. I mean, hell, I'm not fully in support of Willow for cheating on Michael and just the way that she went about this whole thing. But it's the kids that want up ultimately getting hurt. You know, times have definitely changed. Not necessarily for the better in some cases. Right? Sometimes these shows, these soap operas could be very PC, right? We've seen it when Nina found out the truth. When Carly told her that Willow was her daughter, we were expecting a fight, a smack, a showdown, something. She didn't even yell. She just was in a deep voice when she demanded to see her daughter. And I was like, man, that's lame. We should have just saw a fight at that point. That didn't happen. Now, there's a lot of fluff talk with Lulu and Lucky and Laura, going from Lulu asking about Lucky's relationship, talking about Rocco, and eventually Lulu talking about killing her story because she doesn't want to sit there and hurt people that she loves with her stories and stuff like that. And Laura talks about her platform as far as making decisions and stuff like that would affect her constituents. And I guess on some level, and if we're going to be honest, I got that. See, way back when, maybe about a year or so ago, I was not there planning on doing a video. And I decided not to do it because I felt like it was a little too controversial. I felt that although it was not my intentions to sit there and maybe hurt people in a certain way, I didn't want to sit there and take a chance on, you know, even if my message would have came across as clear and as loud for some people, I can totally see how it could have been skewed and come across as kind of thoughtless and tactless on the other hand. So I understand the idea of being like, maybe this is not such a good idea. So I get that, right? But as those two are talking, Boyles was with Drew, and they're talking about Laura, Measure C, Jacinta, and what did Drew apparently do with her, which he was like he didn't do anything with her, right? Boyles is looking at Laura with stink eye and just really don't like her, right? Saying a couple of things, but eventually he decides to just go full blown, I'm gonna act like a dick because I don't care. And he walks up to Laura and Lulu, and he just starts going in on Laura. And I mean, just being an asshole, right? And Lulu was like, yo, listen, maybe my next story should be you, right? And so Boyle starts in with her. Laura comes in to defend her, and he starts going in on her grandchildren, right? On Rocco. So, like, you just being absolute basuda for even talking about somebody else's kids, which I always find that to just be a very snaky and low life move, right? You come at somebody, you come at them. You don't come at them through their kids, through their grandkids. But that's where he wants to go. That's how far low he wants to go. Laura took a cup of water and splashed it in his face. And Lulu laughed. And I'm like, man, let's just be honest. That shit deserved more than just some water, which technically is assault. Hey, hell, listen, you spit in somebody's face, that's technically assault. You throw a pie in somebody's face, regardless of how silly it is, that's assault. So technically what she did was assault. But let's be honest. He deserved way more than water thrown in his face. But we are living in a very PC world, right? And maybe that would have probably backfired on Laura's political career, which, I mean, to be honest, they're hanging out with the local mobsters, so I don't really give a damn. But still, it's so PC. Come on, throwing water? God damn, I know Disney is their overlords, but Jesus Christ. How many times do they sit there and say shit and even drop the F bomb in Marvel movies? We're having this chick sit there and throw water at somebody who is verbally assaulting their grandchild? F out of here. Huh. Now, Rick did go to visit Liz, and one of the things she noticed was the sports car that he had. And the fact that she remembered about the brakes and everything. She was like, I'm surprised you're getting another car after that, after he was complaining about the brakes and stuff. And he's sitting there talking about black ice. I guess they must have all been in arrangement about, well, what happened was they slipped because of black ice. Um, Lucky came over afterwards, and she was like, I remember about brakes, but it was clearly black ice. And Lucky's kind of nervous because Lucky's like, what else? What else do you remember? Hell, there's a point where Christina, which is okay. Let's talk about Christina for a hot minute because I feel like Christina did a 180 today. She seemed like she was totally fine. She was like, she she forgave her mother for going behind her back and trying to get her committed. But then she goes over to Dante's place today and she's like, I don't know if I can forgive my mother. I'm like, okay, I know that I watch 5 soap operas. There's times I can sit there and get details kind of mixed up, and I'm pretty sure you made peace with your mom for that. But now you're like, I don't know if I can sit there and trust her. So Dante's sitting there trying to calm the waters down by being like, hey, listen, there was a point I can trust my father, but we're in a good place now. So I just be a little understanding, you know? But again, what's with the 180? She did sit there and talk about a certain portion of the car having major damage, and Dante was like, how do you know that? Like, you weren't there. You didn't see the police report or anything like that, so how do you know there was major damage to one side of the car? Unless your ass was there and also caused it. And then came back over there to see what happened. Like, it was just giving really stupid vibes. But like the whole thing just felt like a backpedal. I don't know. Maybe you should forgive her this time, and maybe not that time. I have no idea. Um, like I said, Liz got visited by Rick. Lucky, nothing really happened from that. But it does seem like Liz may start to remember more about the car crash. Hell, she might even remember that Christina was there, and then what? Meanwhile, Alexis gets Spinelli to find out where the car was. It took like a half an hour to do, essentially, but he did find the car being moved to a lot with the account of Ava. Now, I don't understand how that's supposed to help her daughter. Like, even if you get the car, there's still footage of her tampering with the car, or nearly tampering with the car. There is an accident on record, so I don't understand how finding the car and finding who owns it is going to help her daughter in any sense of any way. But you tell me in the comment section. Now you see what I'm talking about when I sit there and say trickle down. Um, the last two scenes are Stella and Kai. He wants to get out the hospital. This way he can support Trina, but long story short, Stella's like, the doctor says it's way too early. So he can't get out that day. But he wants to sit there and make sure that he can get out in time to support Trina since Trina has been supporting him. Um, Jocelyn tells Trina that she got the job as the research assistant, that she feels bad, which I'm just like, I don't understand why is Emma vexing you so much. Like, I get that she's a good person, she doesn't want to hurt Emma, but honestly, tell you the truth, the way that Emma was there talking about her, I would be like, I was feeling bad up until you started sitting there calling me all sorts of names, assuming things about me, and practically calling me a bitch. Because honestly, tell you the truth, that just shows that y'all really weren't bonding, since she still had those thoughts in her head about you. And she called it right out, like, see, I knew you didn't change. Yeah, well, that also just showed me that whole bonding thing, now that's really how you felt about me. You were just not there being nice about it. But she's still somewhat bothered by it. But her somebody knocking on the door. Anyway, after that, you talk about the nurse's ball a little bit, and then Trina's not there saying that she's going to dip out right afterwards. She's not going to a party. She just wants to sit there and support Kai, because Kai, she likes Kai. Like, that's just a short and simple answer of it. So, that's cool. I guess, I don't know. I mean, I don't really care one way or the other, if we're going to be honest, but, it's, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really give a shit. I don't. I feel like that's pretty much about it. If I missed anything, write in the comment section below. Come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I'll be sitting there talking about all the shows. You know what they are. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.